In this inaugural episode of ReLiterated, we explore a story of fear and desperation. A tale of sacrifice and hope that begins with the premeditated murder of an infant. A murder that is thwarted at the insistence of a young girl willing to take responsibility to belay the fate of the condemned. A yarn that places the fate of our young protagonist in the sticky hands of a shadowy figure and a disease-ridden thief. That's right. This week we will explore the American classic, Charlotte's Web, on ReLiterated, the podcast for awesome people. Welcome to ReLiterated, the podcast that's like a book club where three completely unqualified man-children read and analyze the books we were exposed to way back in the day, and we look back on the lessons we took away from them back then and compare them to how they read now from our current-day perspectives. We use language that's too mature for kids, analysis too immature for literary scholars, and ignorance too profound to be inoffensive to everyone. So just beware about that. And we may or may not be sober while we do it. So that's all to say, this is not a podcast that's intended for children. I'm Andy, born in 1984. I got father of one 7-year-old. And I grew up reading mostly Goosebumps, but not a heck of a lot of other stuff except for what I had to read for book reports. So that's kind of my relationship with reading as a kid.
I'm Harold. I was born in 1983, a married father of two that loves loading my brain with useless information. I loved Goosebumps as well, but early my mom started letting me read Stephen King books, so I didn't read a ton of the younger kid books.
I'm Josh. I was born in 81. I am single. I moved out to California about 5 years ago. And as a youngster, I read pretty much everything I could find, ranging from the topic of Bigfoot all the way up through, probably one of my favorite books was My Side of the Mountain, and we'll probably be discussing that at some point. But I read just pretty much anything that I could get my hands on, because we were poor. So the library was my savior.
So it begins.
All right. So, yeah. How do we want to start this thing, guys?
I think we should start at the beginning.
All right. How far in the beginning?
Well, I don't know a lot about E.B. White, so maybe we should start at the beginning of the book.
The beginning of the book. Okay. Chapter 1, Charlotte's Web. Oh, man. So, to our audience, we should probably start off with this little disclaimer. While we're talking about child stuff, child literature, all this kiddie stuff, we're grown-ass men, and we're going to swear a little bit. So this is not a podcast intended for children.
We might say some stuff that kids would repeat at school, and then, that's not on us.
Yeah. I don't even have kids.
So kids, if you're using this podcast to study up for a book report that you got to write on Charlotte's Web, you may want to leave out some of the swears because, yeah, we're grown-ass men.
Yep, and we might talk about how the pig could have gotten fucked up.
Yeah, because that is pretty much how the story begins.
This is true.
This pig is about to die.
Right. This farmer has no interest in raising a runt up.
Which is normal. That's normal on a farm, that if a runt is born, they kill it. But
it's agriculture.
Fortunately, a little girl doesn't see it that way.
Little fern.
She has the burden of compassion.
I found it
temporarily.
I found it interesting that it kind of plays into this idea of she's got this maternal feeling, like she wants to protect the baby, and they lead right into how she has to feed it with a bottle, and she wraps it up, and the pig is all she can think about going forward through that day. I mean, it's a pig, it's a pet, but they kind of has a baby feel to it.
Right, like she's leaning into this whole socialization as the girl as being raised into the mother figure.
Yeah, and that's a theme throughout the book.
Yeah, through, I was going to say, she's supposed to be 8 years old, I think they said.
Yep.
And we'll talk about it later, but she goes to the fair and all of a sudden she's interested in boys. It's like, wow, that was real quick. But
yeah,
we'll go into that later.
Very temporary.
So
yeah, we'll touch on that.
But I wanted to bring up the fact that in the very first chapter, they talk about going to school, and what does her brother take to school?
A BB gun.
Takes a gun.
A fucking gun.
Immediately, yeah.
It's just like,
and a
seriously?
knife. A gun and a knife. He goes to school armed with a BB gun and a knife, like a real-ass knife.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, that really shows the difference in the time, because the concept of us even taking a knife to school, I remember that being a big deal. Like, if somebody had a knife, there was all these people talking about, oh, well, the blade can only be 3 inches, because even when we were in school, you could take a folding knife.
Yeah, dude, I'm from the more
nothing that could
go ahead.
Nothing that could like kill a person by getting deep enough and hit vital organs. Like you had to have that measured out so it'd be like non-lethal or whatever. But you could not bring full knives into school.
Nope.
Whereas I'm more from I'm from a more rural community. So like knives were not a big thing. Even like having just a hunting knife in your car was normal. It wasn't odd. And during hunting season, it wasn't strange for people to have, we know that you have a gun in the back of your car. We know you're going hunting, or you came out of the woods and went to school. We get that. We know you're not going to shoot up the school. But even, like, he took it on the bus.
If we get attacked by a bear, we're hiding behind you.
Yeah.
Get to Jim Bob's truck.
Well, there was a Jim Bob in my school.
Of course there was a Jim Bob.
Of course there was. But, yeah. So that wasn't uncommon, like, during hunting season. But just to, like, be going on a school bus, so the brother's, like, a little older probably, so he's probably 10. But yeah, taking a BB gun and a knife and a frog and a frog to school. Yeah.
I like how it reads out in the book. It says, at this moment, her brother Avery came into the room. Avery was 10. He was heavily armed. An air rifle in one hand, it's a wooden dagger in the other. So we apologize for getting the details wrong. It was not a real-ass knife. It was a wooden dagger, but still.
I don't think that a kid could take a Nerf gun or a foam sword to school at this point right now.
You can't take anything that looks like a weapon to school.
A kid got in trouble on the webcam schooling because he had a Nerf gun in the background. Literally.
I remember when I was in high school, it was shortly after, because, I mean, the first major school shooting that really took national news happened while we were in high school. And,
Columbine.
Yep, Columbine. And I remember there used to be a way that you could roll paper up and then fold it to make it look like a gun. I remember a kid did that at school, and he got in huge trouble for a paper gun. So, I mean, it really changed when we came of age. That was when it changed.
Yeah, and I remember the kid who got expelled or suspended for eating a Pop-Tart into a gun shape and then pretending it was a gun.
That was a few years ago. Yeah, to look at the comparison with this book, and they're talking about this kid getting on a school bus with a BB gun. It just,
definitely different times that this story takes place.
Well, and yet again, though, the portrayal of the male character, the male boy, like this little girl is becoming this maternal figure. She can't let this baby die, and the boy is a killer. He's got a gun. He's got a knife. He's gonna go fight. He's the warrior. He's a warrior. Yeah.
He's the one with the weapons.
So,
yep, that was interesting.
I thought, like, it gives the early theme of, like, showing children where food comes from. Like, kids might not know where it comes from. This book definitely gives them that shows them where the food is coming from. Like, hey, a pig is bacon, eggs are chickens. That's where we get our food from.
And they're clear about it.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
That's the job.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that it was like for food. Like what's her name? Fern? Yeah, Arable, Mr. Arable. He was not killing the runt to make food. He was killing it because it was going to be too much of a hassle to raise this thing into food.
Right.
Oh yeah, I guess that's more of a theme later on.
Like he doesn't have a chance in life, so we're just gonna put him out of his misery now, so I don't have to deal with it.
So are we essentially saying that in this setting for a rural, probably conservative person, a late term, actually post-birth abortion was being allowed?
A post... He was about to do a post-birth abortion. Now there's a storyline that there's a thread we can follow for.
Yeah, let's go down that rabbit hole.
Because there's this theme of the value of life, and like who values this pig's life and who doesn't, and who's cracking jokes about his future as bacon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what his life is worth. And yeah, and as we've said before, like even Fern winds up just fucking off as soon as she gets bored or interested in boys.
She doesn't care about the pig anymore.
Or whatever, and so she doesn't care about Wilbur anymore. She's going off to chase that
and
one
the
boy.
pig is
Red
the pig is going to end up as bacon. That's the concept. Eventually, it doesn't matter that she saved it. It doesn't matter that they found a home. The pig is going to die. That is the purpose of the pig. And
I mean, they bring it up fairly quickly. Like I think it's the sheep. He's like, yeah, once you get bigger, you're going to be the Christmas ham. That's the whole reason for the book. That's why Charlotte appears, is to save Wilbur from becoming the Christmas dinner.
Right. By attaching kind of a fictional worth or value to this particular pig's life.
Yeah,
they are postponing the inevitable and giving him a full life that he wouldn't have had if Fern had never stopped her dad from killing him from aborting the newborn.
The late term abortion, late term post birth.
So now there are some characters. Oh, go ahead.
Well, even with that whole thing, Fern saves this pig. She loves this pig. The pig follows her around, but the pig can't stay. The pig isn't allowed to stay with their family because for them, this pig is a cost. Keeping it fed after the fact is too much of a cost, which I found interesting because the pig just eats slop. So why wouldn't they be able to feed it by just throwing stuff out to feed it? But it does eventually have to leave.
I think it might be because of who's in the house, and like, because it seems like when they move the pig, they seem to have a lot more like just food and animals, and because they have like a farmhand that helps out, and so they have a lot more animals, whereas it just seems like Fern's family just have pigs, and that's all they have.
I didn't even think about it. What about all the other pigs? We kind of gloss over the fact that all of the other pigs are dead.
Dude, they're dinner. They're delicious. I had bacon on my burger tonight. It was awesome.
I even called it Wilbur.
Wilbur. But so yeah. But so I was gonna go talk a little bit more now about the some of the characters that we meet at when the pig gets moved. So there's the goose, and she has her goslings eventually. But there's that sheep. That sheep is an asshole. All right.
Very blunt, that sheep.
Just like first thing, just like, yeah, you're gonna be dinner. It's like, really? Yeah. And that lamb is like, you can't play with me. You can't play with me. I'm a lamb. You're a pig. It's like, are you racist towards a pig? Is that how that works? Is that what this is all about?
The sheep is there to provide
I was
the wool,
I was
so
like,
they don't
man,
gotta kill them for that resource that they provide, but the pig is being raised solely for their meat.
Well, I don't know, man. That lamb could be chops.
The lamb.
That's what I was going to say. The pig didn't get eaten, so who gets eaten instead of the pig? The lamb.
We don't hear from the lamb much after that.
It's delicious. No, you don't.
Yeah, they probably wound up on a table.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Gotta have something for Christmas dinner.
Easter ham? Nope, Easter lamb. Delicious.
Lamb, ham.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have in my notes about the how the pictures add to the story, like as much as they do, because there's not a ton of them, but it seems like the ones that they have are really important to the story.
I really didn't pay attention to the pictures because it's not a picture book. And I always find that when you're reading a chapter book like that, it seems like the pictures often don't add much to the story. But if you paid more attention to them, then yeah, maybe.
Well, I was looking at it, from a kid's perspective, because they have a lot of imagination. But this those pictures might help direct them towards more of what the author is trying to have them see. Whereas, a picture, a book that without pictures, it just let your mind run wild. Whereas this one, it kind of helps you focus in.
They actually have a Charlotte's Web picture book, and I'm a little upset that we didn't read that one instead.
I didn't know that it even existed.
It did.
I know that the movie exists, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but not like the book in certain ways, and not in good ways. But
okay, so how much of Wilbur's life on the farm are we going to touch on before we get to meet the real star of the show? Like, what does Wilbur do? Like, he
Wilbur
gets
has a
out
pretty
of his
boring life.
He's pretty boring. He's a pretty boring character.
He really is. I mean,
he kind of sucks.
Yeah, the story's more.
I have
about...
it here. Wilbur's a little bitch.
Yeah.
Wilbur is.
Because all he does is he complains.
I have this right here in my notes. Wilbur is a bitch.
I do.
Bitch ass Wilbur.
What a
Wilbur
bitch
is a
ass
little
pig.
bitch. The most exciting thing he does was given to him by the goose. Told him to knock that fence post or the fence plank off and run around.
Yeah, he got out of his pen and ran around and made the farmers chase him, caused a little stir.
And even then, he decided to go back because he was like, "Where the hell am I gonna go?"
Yeah, he got freedom and he didn't like it. So he figured that life is better if you're penned in and doing what's expected of you, which is an important lesson for all kids to learn.
It is.
Yeah, do what you're told. Do exactly what you're supposed to do. Never go outside of the lines. Follow all the rules.
Mm-hmm. Make peace with your lot in
Never
life.
rock the boat.
Stay inside the box, because outside the box is for the billionaires.
Stick to your class.
Yep.
Don't forget your gun. Wait.
Don't forget your gun and your knife when you go to school.
That's important. Yeah, don't forget your gun and knife. It's important. So, let's see here.
Who do you think is the real star of the show? Charlotte? I mean, the story is Charlotte's Web, so I guess she's quite the story.
Well, I guess the star of the is the actual web. It has nothing to do with
the web.
Characters. The web is the real star.
It really doesn't, because I mean, Charlotte. Even though that's actually interesting. How is Charlotte so wise? So we're to assume what we learned later is how spiders are born, and then they only live for like a year. So she's spent her whole life inside the corner of this barn, yet she seems to be like this wise old sage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does she learn in spider years? I mean, is it some method of genetic information passed down that she knows so much about the world?
Plus, she seemed to be in the barn the entire time. How does she know those crazy words like that? Lurvy's not saying them, I'm pretty sure.
Right. And she does need words brought to her so that she can spell them. So she doesn't necessarily know all the words. She knew some pig.
She's barely literate.
Barely literate.
She knew salutations, though. Come on, that's a pretty big word.
Did she know salutations?
Yeah.
That's how I think
that's one of the first things she said, yeah.
Oh,
by the way,
right.
I wanted to say something about how she introduced herself. Like, she immediately drank a fly right in front of Wilbur, just as like a power move to show him who's boss here.
Oh yeah.
He's like, "Hi, I'm a spider. This is what I do." And he's all like, "Yeah."
Passes out.
But I guess that's how life be. Spiders do that, so I like
gotta eat.
It's part of the life lesson, man. It's part of the life lessons for the kids. It's like, hey, if I didn't eat this fly, I would die. And everybody, we all have to live. So.
And yet there was a rule of life that is being resisted against throughout the entire book, is that this pig's life is worth nothing.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Right, the pig is supposed to die so that people can eat, and we're saving this pig. But it's because this pig is named, I think. This pig is named, and he's friendly, and we're hearing about him. It's like...
And we know how he reacts to things. What purpose is there to keep... Right. I mean, people keep potbelly pigs, and you know that they're not eating those. So...
Oh, we didn't eat Sydney.
Yeah.
Heck no.
You keep them...
My mom had a potbelly pig. He was awesome.
You keep him as a pet, just like, you wouldn't sit here and fry up your dog or something like that.
Not in this country, but some cultures, they do eat dog.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that, except for it makes me sad.
Well, I mean, I just
because
assume
of
that they're bad
the human qualities that you perceive out of what the animal does. If you don't perceive it as like a person, like an individual, and you just see it as livestock, then it won't make you sad to eat it.
I think, though, that we see dogs. I know we do that now. Like, people are just, oh, my dog is a family member and this or that or whatever. But one of the things in American culture with dogs is their usefulness. In a lot of Western cultures, dogs are a useful animal. They can be hunters. They can bring more food to the table by training them and keeping them alive than they can by killing them and frying them up. It's not so much that way anymore. I mean, people get upset every day. You see videos where, like, somebody's husky was outside in the cold. Well, the husky's supposed to be outside in the snow.
If he's cold, if you get cold, then they're cold.
Have you seen huskies? Them trying to bring in huskies from the snow? They don't like it.
I mean,
they love it in the snow.
The sled dogs up in Alaska, they literally dig a hole and they sleep inside that hole in the ground, and they don't go inside at all. Sled dogs, hunting dogs, they usually remain outside. They're not like your cuddly pet that lays in bed with you. And Wilbur has this mix where he is a pig that lives in the mud, he lives in the slop, but we view him in this pet sense. We don't want to see Wilbur get eaten. And even Zuckerman eventually comes to that conclusion that he likes this pig. He wants this pig to stay around. However, he was manipulated to feel that way about the pig.
He was. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that, I'm sure, also in the manipulation of people via some sort of like a proclamation of like a miraculous type of thing.
Right, like wow, I've never seen a spider write words in the web. And that's the real thing, is the spider is the more amazing thing here.
Yeah.
They're all excited about this pig. Oh, it must be some pig. Well, I mean, a spider wrote English words.
There is a spider who wrote letters that human beings can understand. Let's weigh out which is more impressive here.
But see, it was God. It wasn't the spider, you guys. It was God putting those messages in those webs.
Is the pig God?
You should know this by now.
Just God
in
Wilbur
general.
God to make the spider do that for his benefit?
No, but God wanted Wilbur to live, apparently.
And spoke through a spider.
And spoke through a web. Not a spider.
God spoke through a web. Where did the web come from? Nobody knows.
My favorite character is Templeton, for sure.
He's definitely the most relatable.
Yeah.
He's not my favorite character. There's another very, very minor character who's my favorite, but Templeton is definitely number 2 by far.
I like Templeton because he's basically like, this is how things go. He's always slinking around. You can make deals with Templeton. Hey, if you do this for me, I'll let you have some food, I like Templeton. His cynical nature.
And he's constantly complaining about having to do things like, I gotta go do it again.
Oh, well, I guess if there's food in it for me.
Yeah. You'll give me what now? Okay.
You say this fair has what now? Okay, I'm in.
It's like, oh man, we'll get to the fair, but
yeah,
I love that part. So Charlotte, she getting the different words So she knows salutations, but some of the words that Templeton brings back I thought were quite great. And where is it? Crunchy, yeah. I feel that pre-shrunk should have been used.
Pre-shrunk. Because he's a runt.
Because he was a runt, exactly. So he was pre-shrunk. I thought that would have been perfect. And like nowadays, juicy would be a good term.
Yeah.
You know,
Juicy pig.
they put it on it. They give him some. Just give him some sweatpants and put it on his ass. Juicy.
Yeah, that's
There you
one
go.
juicy pig.
Isn't that how that works?
I mean, that would make me want to eat him, but
No, you put on like those pink
No.
sweatpants that say juicy on
Listen,
the ass.
you
Give him
put
some awesome
juicy ham.
sunglasses.
Yeah, you put some pink sweatpants on that say juicy on the back of a pig. I'm fucking that pig.
Who do you think you are now? the Prime Minister of the UK or something?
Right? Oh, man. Yeah.
So, I think shortly after that is when Fern's mom gets a little bit too upset about her daughter not being such a daughter. And that's when we meet my favorite character, Dr. Dorian.
Oh, Dr. Dorian, yes.
Dr. Dorian is the best character in this book.
All right, what did he do?
Because he's the only normal character in this book.
Yeah. Well, and where you're going with this, it was really interesting to me that she was so worried about the fact that her 8-year-old daughter is not chasing boys around and wanting to do that. That
She's spending her days
living as a
talking to
child.
animals.
Yeah. Oh, this is so crazy. My daughter, she isn't chasing boys and wanting to become a typical woman the way it should be. And it's like, she's 8 years old. I don't understand why you're so worried about this.
Yeah, she's talking to animals. Yeah, she's 8.
And the doctor says, well, maybe we don't know what animals are trying to say because we don't listen hard enough. I think kids listen better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
I like
interesting.
that.
And then when he asks
But
about Avery, and she's like, he breaks things and he does all this stuff, and he's just like, good. That's what
Boys
boys
will
are
be
supposed
boys.
to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, boys will be boys. So he's like, yeah, don't worry. She'll grow up. Just let her be a kid, basically, is what he said.
Right, and it
For
happened.
real.
You know? Yeah, and then they pushed it at the end of the book. So, but yeah, I think this is actually closer to when it starts to get more towards the fair, and you know they're gonna take Templeton to the fair. But I really liked how they described the changing of the seasons. At one point, it said a maple turned red and dropped all its leaves, and they said it was from because it had anxiety. This is what happened to that tree. The tree got anxiety and instantly dropped its leaves. So
Get that tree some Xanax.
basically, I was like, that's funny. I just found that comical. But so yeah, the fair was this was basic. Like, I loved that Templeton got to basically just live the rat's dream. He got to go to rat heaven. But here's my question: if he was a rat and it was that good, why did he go back?
Yeah, why wouldn't he have just remained? Well, because he could have ridden in one of the carts from the fair and gone to the next fair. I mean, that's what fairs do.
Yeah.
I think
That's
you're
what
thinking
I'm
of like a
saying.
circus. I think the fair is just something a community sets up once a year. They don't like travel around. So I think
I mean, our fair had carnies that traveled with their equipment.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about
they do hire people to
They
bring
were in
in
the next county the next week.
Yeah, they hire people to bring in the rides and all the shit to go from fair to fair. Yeah, you're right.
But
And that's what I'm saying. Why didn't Templeton jump on board that or jump into one of the food trucks, you know?
I don't know. He had
It
some,
might have been
some
different
sort of
back
loyalty
then.
to Wilbur.
it very
I don't
well
know.
could have been different back then, because I know that here in Bay City, my dad and my grandpa would work the fair every year, and they had a stall. back then. So, I mean, it might have been more of a community thing during that time for fairs. And then probably some guy who was like, yeah, I could make a bunch of money if I made a traveling fair and charged less than the people that live in the community. So maybe that's something that changed over the years.
Well, I know just at like my back in the Huron County Fair, the places that I always looked forward to was getting a Gibby's hot dog and getting some Gibby's fries, because it's the once a year thing. And I'm sure that they were at other fairs and stuff, but I didn't go to other fairs.
Right.
I was that was the one. So once a year we got a Gibby's foot long hot dog and the fries, and it was like my family seemed to know them, so because they always talked to them and they were always super nice. So I think that might have changed. Like, yeah, it would have been like, okay, we're putting on this county fair, and so we're gonna have just our county's gonna be, this is all for our county. And now it's more the traveling stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah,
so
I think that might be the case with this. Or, I mean, he's a rat. How was he supposed to know that he could follow this place and it would keep setting up? So,
right, yeah,
I mean,
he had to be educated
only
what a fair was in the first place.
Right.
This is true. So yeah, he didn't even know about it. Plus, he had that guaranteed food from Wilbur. No matter what, he would always have first dibs on Wilbur's food.
He did have that bargain with Wilbur. Mm-hmm.
And he knows where he's going. He knows where everything is, and he knows how to avoid the people at that place. I mean, he goes off with these fair people. Maybe they're good at killing rats.
Yeah. Dogs and cats and all that are going to be running around.
You go where your comfort level is, and with what you know, you stay with what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems like a very Templeton thing to do.
Right.
And
they said bets.
That he had tunnels everywhere. Like all around that farm, he had tunnels. So, they would never find him in that farm.
And plus, assuming that Wilbur is going to continue living, he can always travel to the fair every year for a little vacation.
Yeah, because with being that pig will always be famous. They can always take that, because he won that special award. They could always take that pig to the fair and always get 25 cents to see the famous Zuckerman pig.
Yep. And
I'm sure that they took pictures of the webs. So instead of the actual webs, they just put the pictures of the webs up, and hey, look.
Well, I mean,
Livery's got to paint the crate every year, but
some of Charlotte's kids stayed, so I would, think maybe if Charlotte was able to learn in the short period of time that she did how to write in a web, who knows? I mean, her kids might be able to do it with some prompting from Wilbur.
Also,
like, hey,
who knocked up Charlotte? Because they don't ever talk about a male spider, and they were there all summer. I don't know how spiders, how that works, but I'd be kind of interested in knowing how that all works.
Well,
are they?
I thought
we're gonna have to research some spider sex.
I thought that it was pretty clear that Wilbur was the father.
I mean, she was definitely a mother figure to him, but I don't know about that.
It was a very awkward, very fragile experience, but that's what happened. The pig
somehow
fucked the spider.
Life finds a way.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they never mentioned anything about her going off with a guy spider. But I mean, I think, Black Widows kill the male spider. So I know she's not a Black Widow, but that lends to believing that spiders, arachnids don't necessarily mate and like hang out with their mate.
Yeah, that's true. But like they didn't like be like, hey, you won't see me for a little bit. I gotta go get some strange.
Well, how long does it take to get some strange? I mean, come on. I'll be gone for a couple weeks getting laid.
This is interesting. So the spider mating season typically lasts from September through October.
That lines up. That actually lines up with the book.
I mean, if that's one of the first things that they do.
Well, September is, I would say that September, early October at the latest would be when that fair was. So
yeah, I always think of fairs being in August.
Yeah, maybe August, but they said the leaves were turning on the maple trees, so you'd think late September at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, I can't it's not like the eggs had to stay in Charlotte. Obviously, she lays the eggs. So once they're fertilized, she can get out of there.
Yeah, and they might have to hold on or something.
Mm-hmm. It was a risky move by Wilbur to take the egg sac.
Yeah, because he held it in his mouth, right?
Yeah, and
But
so did Templeton.
She did say it was waterproof.
Yep, that's true.
And that's why...
Rats' teeth can gnaw through anything, just about anything, though. I mean, within reason, not like steel and all that, but rat teeth can gnaw through anything, so it was kind of dangerous to have Templeton take it down in the first place.
I mean, he was just clipping the support wires, though, so to speak.
But he had to carry it down in his mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Luckily, his saliva wasn't acid. But...
Well,
so yes, and then so it's sad that Charlotte doesn't get to go back. It's like her home was this other place, and she doesn't even get to go back there.
Right.
It's so sad.
She laid it out. I mean, that's friendship, though. I can't believe that she was willing to actually give it all up to help Wilbur live.
Yeah,
even
she
though
took over for Wilbur's deadbeat mother.
Yeah. Fern had fucked off at this point.
Fern left her because she's like, I want to hold hands with that boy, and that boy's probably like,
the Ferris wheel with that boy.
And that boy's probably like, her brother's got a frog.
Yeah, he's one of those simple farm boys. Nothing special about him, but for some reason, she just can't get enough of him.
I mean, again, she is 8, so I don't know that necessarily means that they're going to be together forever, but at least her mother will be happy that she's found interest in boys finally.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like, oh yeah, Fern is growing older because now she has this interest in boys, and her mom will stop fretting. And that's another thing. Like her mom just was like a housewife because it's the 60s, or
I think it might be even earlier than the 60s. I'm thinking maybe like 50s.
Well, yeah,
because there didn't seem to be any idea of TV, or did they mention that?
No, I don't think so.
There couldn't have been.
They didn't talk about TV at all.
Yeah,
copyright 1952.
Okay, yeah, so 50s.
Yeah, I think TVs were just being invented and just starting to.
Well, they're just starting to gain popularity.
Yeah, and then rural places, they're not going to pick up TV signals, so it's all
right.
It's just the cities where you're seeing TV. So,
and I mean, it's not like the kids were in a hurry to do that. This one kid gets to go to school with a bunch of guns and knives on him. So why does he need a TV?
Daggers.
Wooden daggers
that
he probably carved using a knife.
I'll carve a knife out of a tree branch with a knife because I'm 10 and that's what I do.
So yes, the winter passes. They get back from the fair. The winter passes, and we are introduced to the kids because they start doing what Charlotte's cousin apparently did, which is float away on the wisps of their
webs. Yes, all but 3 of the spiders left him when he was looking so forward to having all these friends.
Thousands of friends.
Everybody leaves Wilbur eventually.
Except for a few.
Well, and I mean, it's not like they could have stayed, because if you had thousands of spiders, there's too much competition for food. So clearly, they had to get out of there.
Yeah, that's just how spiders do.
Yep.
Yeah.
They could talk the moment they were born. So it's kind of like how when a deer is born, it can walk right away. Spiders can talk the moment they're born. I found that
and they're
to be
using
an
words like
fact.
They're using words like salutations right out the egg. So I guess vocabulary is genetic.
It is.
Yeah, must be.
But spelling is learned.
So she told that story about catching the fish, how one of her cousins caught a fish in the web.
Mm-hmm.
There have been 18 species observed catching fish in the wild. So
wow.
I looked because I was like, I wonder what kind of spider that was, and it's like, oh, there's 18 of them. Okay.
Have you ever seen that gigantic bird-eating spider from down in South America? It was
I believe so.
In Arachnophobia, the first spider they show was that giant bird-eating spider. And they don't really go after people like they did in the movie and all that, but they exist. They're like this huge fucking spider that I would never want to see.
Well, Australia has tons of horrifying spiders.
Yeah, dude.
Apparently they have things called toilet spiders, and they just kind of hang out in the bathroom and eat all the pests, and so they like them because they don't come after the people. So I'm like, okay. Hey, people in Australia, is that true? Do you guys have toilet spiders? I want to know.
Toilet spiders.
Those camel spiders, I think that there was something I saw that said that a lot of the pictures of the really, really big ones were doctored, or they were, the way the picture was taken made it look bigger than it was. But they are pretty big spiders over in the Middle East. Those things are crazy looking too.
Those and the crazy sand scorpions? Yeah.
I think they need to update Charlotte's Web and use a spider like that.
I mean, if we update Charlotte's Web, Avery's going to jail. So, I mean...
Avery's going to jail.
pretty quickly.
Avery is at least expelled.
We're definitely not going to start pushing Fern towards childbearing at 8 years old.
Yeah.
And the question of Wilbur, being killed in the beginning wouldn't have happened because we are not for post-birth abortion.
We're not. And, nowadays they sell runts for top dollar to idiot celebrities.
Right. They'll keep it and love it and squeeze it and hold it.
I mean, I have to give the smallest amount of appreciation to Paris Hilton not getting rid of her pig. She kept the pig that was supposedly a teacup pig that was a real pig. And she kept it and, took care of it until it died from natural causes. So I was like, oh, okay.
Good for her.
Interesting.
Real life Fern.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're like a normal person.
You're like a Fern who
you.
didn't give up.
That's what I think of when I think of Paris Hilton, is the character Fern from Charlotte's Web. Just a very wholesome girl that got famous by getting fucked in a hotel room.
I'm hot. Wilbur's hot. He's so hot.
This pig is like, his life is valuable, and we just have to preserve it, you guys. Don't just kill animals just because they're a hassle.
Now I'm going to go eat some pork. What? That's pig? Oh my god.
So delicious. So, as a my verdict, because I'm going to give my verdict now on whether or not you should go back and read this as a single person without children. I do not recommend going back and reading it. It is not for adults. Definitely not for adults. It's very, very light reading. I got through it very quickly, and it was dull. It's very dull. It's definitely made for children. That being said, how do you guys feel about it?
I wouldn't necessarily say that anyone would go back and read it now. I even question whether or not it's a book that kids would read today, because some of the ideas and themes, again, like suggesting that a young girl should be trying to chase boys, or that boys inherently have to be destructive little monsters. I don't necessarily see that as being a good way to show kids childhood. I do like the themes of life and death, and how it kind of just shows like, yeah, so this pig we've come to love, but pigs are food for us for the most part. And all these animals on this farm at some point or another are either food or a product of some kind. The sheep do the wool. I don't even know what the geese are for if they're not for food.
They're for the eggs. I'm pretty sure they're for the
goose eggs. I've never eaten goose eggs, I guess.
They're not bad. They're pretty good.
Okay, well,
maybe they're down.
Yeah, the down. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the down. I think what they're mainly used for is to keep away pests, like they eat insects.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So-
That makes sense.
Did not know that.
They never mentioned chickens, I don't think. They may have mentioned chickens, but there wasn't like a chicken featured as a character in the book. And I think that's because they didn't want to risk people falling in love with chickens at all.
So yeah, this is a story about going to great lengths to lift up this just this worthless but lovable being. Like his only purpose or his only product besides the food that humans get when he dies is that, you know, he's kind of fun to have around or something. Or for some reason, this pig is worth nurturing and worth keeping alive to the point of, you know, breaking the rule that we don't communicate with humans.
Not only that, but the pig, as far as the people go, it had no inherent value beyond the words in the spider web. So like you're saying, yeah, this character is essentially worthless, and the only reason to keep it alive is because he doesn't want to be killed and eaten. And so we have a spider giving up her last days.
Right. Maybe it's just more like they don't want to listen to him whine about not wanting to die until he gets killed.
I mean, he does whine.
He does whine
He is a
lot.
whiny little
Yes.
bitch.
And there were multiple times when I was reading Charlotte's words in almost like a annoyed sense, like, okay, yeah, I'll do this.
Yeah.
This shit again. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't so much nurturing as it was annoyed with him whining. So, yeah.
I think that's why I thought of her more like in a motherly tone. Like, hey, these are the things these are some of the lessons that you should learn. Like, you can't do everything just because you want to. Like, when he was like, I'm gonna spin a web like you. It's like, no, you idiot, you're a pig, not a spider. You don't have spinnerets. You can't do that. Well, I have the string. Yeah, you're an
And
idiot.
he tried.
You're a pig.
Yeah.
And he fell on his stupid face. Good job, idiot.
Well, and we're talking about a creature that has no choice but to die, and her children are going to die, and she even risks her children for Wilbur. And yeah, it's also that he won't die.
But it's out of his friendship with her that he took the spiders back to the farm. Now, did he really have to take the egg sac back to the farm for those spiders to survive? Probably
it wasn't
not.
for them to survive.
It wasn't for them to survive.
Yeah.
It was for him to have friends, or for him to, I don't know, maybe return the favor and take care of her children when she never
He may have been
asked
thinking
him
about
to.
taking care of the children. I think that instead of some pig, she should have written selfish pig.
There you go. Juicy selfish.
Juicy selfish pig.
Edible, succulent,
Crunchy.
Yeah.
fall off the bone,
Crunchy.
barbecue pork. Crunchy. Now that I'd like to see on the ass of a sweatpants.
Yeah. Ooh.
Crunchy.
Crunchy.
Hey, merch.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll make some
that'll be our
merch with
merch.
crunchy on the ass.
ReLiterated
We'll put crunchy
merch.
on ass
Here we
and
go. We're already
There
an
you go.
award-winning podcast. Let's have some merch.
This is true. Gotta get the merch.
Leave it in the comments. Do you want crunchy sweatpants?
We
Well,
don't
I
have an
mean,
email. We don't have a Twitter. We don't have any way for you to contact us. But I don't know.
We'll get one. We'll get that set up this week probably.
Yeah, I assume that-
already
We'll let
hear
you know.
clamoring for this merch.
by the time this airs, we will have some way to be contacted.
Yes. We'll probably have 2 episodes up when this airs for the first time anyway. So. But yes, we will, and then you can give us suggestions and things like that. We're set for a little bit, I think, and but yeah, we have some ideas in the pipeline for some different things and different ideas and different books. So
I'm interested to see if the schools are still teaching or still having kids read Charlotte's Web. I don't know if they ever
I don't
stopped
know if that is
or.
on the
I mean, Harold and I
curriculum or
have kids, but they're like mine's about to turn 8, and Harold's oldest just turned 7. So they're still a little bit young to be reading books for, like, chapter books for book reports and shit. But I'd be interested to find out if that's ever something that the school system is passing on to 21st century school children.
So the Charlotte's Web teaching guide from Scholastic exists. It appears to be something they say grades 3 to 5 as of November 6, 2012. So I don't know.
Oh, as of 2012, okay. So it's fairly likely, I'd say. Probably just for the sake that there's talking animals and kids like animals.
Right, yeah. And I don't think when I saw this or watched this as a kid, I mean, I definitely had different thoughts on it. I definitely wanted Wilbur to live. I did not notice many of these themes or question. In fact, I don't even know that I read the book as a child. I think I only watched the movie as a child. And the movie's very much, you know, they're like, Josh, you were saying there's songs in the movie.
Oh, the Wilbur. Okay, the Wilbur in the book is a whiny little bitch, but the Wilbur in the movie is a fucking asshole dick. God, he's so annoying. He's just he's not just crying. He sing cries.
Oh man,
constantly
sing cries. Oh my god.
It's like, I don't want to die. Charlotte, save me. It's like, oh, I want to kill you right now. You're the worst.
Eat me some bacon.
Yeah, just so like rewatching the movies, I was just like, wow, this is so much worse than
the tale about her cousin spinning a web so strong that it catches a fish, that was a cautionary tale to Wilbur that if you don't shut up, I am going to spin a web that is so powerful that it is going to wrap you up and I will eat your fucking face if you don't quit whining about not wanting to die.
That was the eating the fly at the beginning, showing him, I'm going to be
straight
able to
up power
eat you
move.
if I want to. Yep. That was quite the power move.
I can wait until you fall asleep. I can crawl underneath your eyelid, and I can suck the juice right out of your eyeball, little fucker.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying to think about a spider having the power to do that.
I'm going to tape my eyes shut tonight.
You want to not sleep? Just think about that.
Yep.
And like, think about the other way that this story could have went. We could have got Spider Pig.
Spider Pig!
10 years earlier?
Holy shit.
Because think about it. If Charlotte would have bit him, he could have got superpowers. And then would he have Spider Pig?
That is how superpowers work.
It was the 50s. Yeah. It was the atomic age. There could be radioactive spiders. You don't know.
Usually they were 50 feet tall. But just this one. Maybe that's why she was so smart.
Hey, she was mutated because of all the atomic bombs from the nearby testing site.
I don't think that is
in a twist of irony is what caused the genetic deformity that made Wilbur so runty. It's all the radiation in the air. Here we go.
Okay, now I'm understanding.
Now we're rewriting it for the modern era.
Solving problems of the world.
Solving problems.
Updating Charlotte's Web. I bet you that big ass, the big guy that won the gold ribbon, the big fucker, I bet you he became a ham for sure.
The prize pig in the stall next door, yeah.
Well, I mean, they're not going to keep him around. We've learned throughout this entire book that you don't keep pigs around, you eat them. So, yeah, it's not like he had a spider writing words for him.
Yeah, there's no spider web words around that fat fuck.
Nope, he's dead. He dead.
Ribs.
They used that blue ribbon as a garnish for Christmas ham.
In fact, did that pig even have a name? Or
I don't think it did.
Or was it just his name is Ribs? His name is Baby Back. But yeah, we've kind of summed up our feelings about the book. How are we going to bring this to a landing, this plane of ours?
I mean, I think we should just suddenly cut off and everyone will wonder what happened.
I mean, that's one way. We could also say, discuss what book we could do next.
Well, we can do any book but Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
Well I thought we were talking about Goosebumps, Welcome to Dead House.
I was going to say, let's do what everybody wants us to do, which is
Freaking Goosebumps. Oh my god, Goosebumps.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really excited to read a Goosebumps book because I haven't read a Goosebumps book in nearly 30 years at this point.
Oh yeah,
So-
we've all got some history with Goosebumps. We're gonna be diving into that.
Which Goosebumps books are we going to do, guys?
Well, I got a collection at my parents' house. I have to see which ones I actually have. That'll be the easiest way for me to track down one, anyways. Personally,
Right. I do think that we should do the first one. We should definitely do Welcome to Dead House.
the very first Goosebumps. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, the very first one, and then we can jump around from there. And then we're also going to have mini episodes where we do books where we choose our own adventure, and we're all going to read them
Yes.
separately. We're going to choose our own adventures and see where we go with them.
That sounds like fun.
It sounds like something you'd want to listen to on a
Yes,
monthly
don't you-
basis.
Don't you want to listen to something like that? I think you might.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've listened to us
And
this
fun
long,
fact-
you probably you might. There's no denying.
Yeah.
There's a good chance.
Fun fact, my very first book I ever bought at a Scholastic book fair was Return of the Ninja, a Choose Your Own Adventures book,
Aw, man.
which I still own to this day. No, Secrets of the Ninja. I think it's
Secrets of the Ninja. Okay.
All I know is that there are ninjas on fire on the cover, and it's great.
Well, I mean,
That sounds hype as hell.
flaming ninjas.
Right?
That sounds like something I remember.
I know there are ninjas. I'm pretty sure ninjas are involved. So yes, we will be doing Welcome to Dead House on our very next second episode.
So come back around and listen to us again.
Have a good whatever time of the day it is for you right now.